What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ghost Gaming, and we are doing a beginner MX Bikes video. I myself am still a beginner at this game. I've been playing it now for roughly a week. And unfortunately, there is some help out there that you can find, but it's either a pain in the butt to find, or if you go on like the forums, the answer you get is, well, just learn the game. I mean, no real help. And I don't know if it's just because I'm coming from console, PlayStation. I'm coming from PlayStation, moving to PC. But yeah, totally different community. You know, when I was on PlayStation, everybody was more than willing to help. And I'm sure there's plenty of PC players out there that are more than willing to help. I just haven't encountered really too many of them, unfortunately. So this video is more geared towards people like me that are coming from console to this game or have never played this game. So to start off with, we are going to go to your settings. So this is the first screen you're going to pull up. All this stuff is going to be not looking like this. So this is all your controls for your inputs and all that stuff. Once you change this, you'll never have to change it again until your skill gap increases. The biggest struggle for me with this game, this is the hardest dirt bike game I've ever played. And I come from playing dirt bike games consistently since they've been coming out on console, all the way back on the PlayStation 1 and 2. And now I have a PS5, just to let you know how long I've been playing PlayStation for. I've owned just about every MX versus ATV game, every Supercross game that's ever been released. I do own every GP game, MXGP game that's been out on console. I am very well versed in dirt bike games. This is the hardest one. I struggled and struggled and struggled. Nobody really told me anything, you know, as far as questions I had or basic things. This is all trial and error by me, and if you guys are not new to this channel, you know him as Schroederboat or Josh. This is what me and him have figured out. It'll answer a lot of your questions, and it'll actually make your motorcycle rideable. You need to get your controls figured out before you figure your bike out. So I play on a PS5 controller. Your lean is your left stick. You can see it down here for your input. Throttle, brake, and we'll get to why this doesn't go all the way down. Clutch, and then your rider. Your other lean with your right stick. So this is all your lean inputs. I have it on smooth. press for your lean determines on how fast this thing moves forwards and backwards. Release is how fast it's going to release. Obviously, your gain has to do with like how much of it is going on, and your linearity also plays a factor in how fast or how slow it occurs. Now, I always recommend to have a dead zone. Typically, like if you do first-person shooter type stuff, normally you don't want to have too much of a dead zone. But in this game, if you are really twitchy on your sticks, you can make that go away by changing the dead zone. So I have a 10% dead zone, 96% linearity. It's on smooth. When I press the button, 10%, release 10%, gain 85. This, you don't ever play with that. Then you can go up here. Throttle, another very important thing. Dead zone, I have it on 5%. I got my linearity at 85%. So it's like a negative curve, so to speak. My press is at 40%. So if you do this, see how fast the green bar is moving? And then if I go all the way to 100 or 98, see how slow the bar moves? So you'll want to adjust this. I like it about 40%, you know, because it can allow you to get on the throttle pretty hard, and the bike doesn't want to like completely fly out from under you, which I'm sure if you've already been playing this game and you've struggled with it like I have, that's a thing. Release, I leave it at 10% gain. I have it at 105, which that's a positive linearity type of deal. Brake, no dead zone on your brake. Leave the linearity at 100%. So when I press the brake, it's only applying it 34%. The reason being is you will figure out, or maybe you've already figured out when you hit the brakes in this game, bad juju. I mean, you wreck almost all the time. So I want the bike to slow down. I don't want to stop on a dime. So that's why I have it like this. And you can watch it as I move the bar. You know, the gain changes. So I do want to slow down. You know, in this game, you don't really have to use the brakes a whole lot, at least in the outdoor tracks. I'm still kind of dipping a little bit in Supercross and things like that, you know, so I may change these settings. But for right now, just starting out, figuring it out, you know, racing the outdoor tracks, this works really well. It makes the bike manageable. Rear brake, same thing. Same idea. Clutch. So on the clutch, I have it, the release really slow. I have it all the way to 100%. Mainly for starts. You don't really use the clutch anywhere else in this game. Sometimes there's certain places that you probably could use it and it would be okay. But in the most of the time, you don't ever use the clutch unless you're on the start gate. You still so far. I haven't figured anything else out to do, but if you just dump the clutch on the gate, you'll loop out. So the rider lean forward and back. So, or I'm sorry, left to right. It's only turning 80% how I have it set up. And that's for right now with my skill and where I'm at. I really like how this feels. The bike doesn't feel like it's... I was having a problem where I would tuck the front end all the time, and it felt like I was just had too much steering. So I backed it off to 80% steer. That way the bike's not turning quite as sharp. I have a dead zone of 10% because I'm one of those players that twitch the joystick quite a bit to make minute movements that don't matter. So I don't want to pick those minute movements up. Same thing. Same idea, forwards, back, left, right. So that's that. This is just where you assign all your buttons. I play on manual, so I use square and circle for shift. Sitting, I didn't think the sitting and standing would be such a big deal. Maybe when the guys that are really fast at this game, it's not a big deal to them. For me right now, I figured out that it does help with cornering and doing certain things. I've noticed that the bike corners better when you sit down and go through the corner and then stand up out of the corner. It's just kind of one of those things you just got to teach yourself. You got to hit the button every time. Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. You jump further. It seems like to me you jump further when you're standing up versus when you're sitting down. You crash more if you land sitting down versus standing up. So you'll definitely want to practice with that quite a bit for now as a beginner. Again, you may choose to just... I've seen videos where guys just say, "We learn to ride standing up." Well, that's great and all, but there's certain corners and things like that that you can't take fast standing up. So I recommend that you learn standing up and sitting down through corners, and you'll be the judge of the corners that you decide to do it through, but it's definitely something you want to learn. Your looks, lefts, rights, up, down, behind you, I got all that there. Replay camera, me personally, I don't care about any of this. I don't know what any of this means either. Graphics, depending on your machine, you set your graphics up how you'd like. I didn't really do much with mine. Miscellaneous is obviously your volume and units of measure. I'm in the United States. The dates, however you want it to show up, you can choose it. And then this is your view. Me personally, I ride in first person, and I like the camera to be a little far back so you can put your field of view, move the camera back, make a better field of view, tilt the camera, pitch the camera. You can have free look if you want. I have so I look at towards the apex of the corner. Lean heading, I got it 88%. Show HUD, show rider stand, and I'll show you what that looks like on the screen when we get there. Extended view, dynamic, riding aids. when you're a beginner at this game, don't be ashamed to turn your riding aids on. As you can see, I have them all on except automatic rider sit. If you can, however, I felt that the bike handled better when I controlled the riders standing and sitting. It may be different for you, but that's why I have it off. And I use a manual shift rather than automatic shift. I turn that off. Everything else, I have it turned on. I'm still learning this game. I'm still learning the physics of this game. But if you don't know these settings that have taken me and Schroeder Boat a week to figure this shit out, of just writing and testing and changing and writing and grinding, you'll pull your hair out. And then, you know, to ask the community, and then the community's response is, we'll just ride. You know, you just got to get used to the game. Well, that just didn't work for me. So that's why I'm making this video. So we're done with that. That is your basic controller setup for starting out. As you get better at the game, I'm sure you'll go in and make minor adjustments, turn some of the riding aids off. But for somebody that's coming off of a console that's been playing Supercross 6 or Supercross 5, or maybe you're on Xbox playing those games, you know, this is a whole nother animal. And this game will frustrate the shit out of you without these settings, trying to figure the game out. Now, the next thing, every bike, if you download the OEM bike pack, which you can get from mxbmods.com, every bike feels different. Kind of like you look at Supercross, like the Honda stands out in Supercross 6, the KTM stands out, and the Gas stand out. You know, Suzuki, Kawi, Yamaha, they each ride slightly different, but they're the same in their own ways. In this game, every single bike is different and rides different. Now, I do use the same, and this is just for beginners. I'm sure when you get really good at this game, you'll change all these settings on your bikes. But I've been kind of using the same sort of setup. I've ridden the Honda, I've ridden the Yamaha. Schroeder Boat has ridden the Honda, Yamaha, KTM, and Kawasaki. But I dropped the front and rear tire pressure to 12.3. That helps you in the grip area. And I kind of feel like a little bit better on cornering. Brakes, I mean, the brakes are touchy enough in this game. You really don't need any oversized brakes or anything like that. Suspension. So far, the thing that has worked the best for me is I go down 1 on the spring. I don't touch the bump. And then I go down 1 on rebound, 1 on preload, and then on the oil, I go up 1. Rear spring is the same. Down 1, don't touch slow bump, don't touch fast bump, go down 1 on rebound, 1 on preload. The drivetrain, it really depends on the track. If it's a super fast track, like let's say you're playing like the Sasquatch MX Park, where it's really fast, you'll probably be running like a 48. The Sweden track, I'm probably gonna run like a 50. Like a 50 and a 13 for front and rear sprocket. So I'm sure you figured out by now, if you've been playing the game, the bike likes to loop out. A few things you can do is this fork offset. changes where I'm pretty sure it changes where the triple clamp is on the fork. So to combat wheelies all the time and allowing you to get on the gas as hard as you want, you can drop this 2, so you go down to 20. This will always start out at 4, but you could bring it up to 5. The front end still might come up a little bit on really hard acceleration coming out of a corner with this type of a setup. And you'll be okay. And then I always go up 1. I think it starts out like right there or something like that. I always go up like maybe 1 or 2 on the rod length for the rear suspension. Drops the back of the bike down a little bit. And then that's pretty much it for just like a basic setup. You know, I've seen some setup videos where they're like, oh yeah, I just changed the amount of fuel in the gas tank and I just ride the bike. Sure, you could do that, but you're not gonna be your best unless you have the setup that's best fits you. This is just an example that I'm giving you. It's a great place to start. You may love it, you may hate it, but at least you kind of have an idea of, okay, well, the stock one doesn't work and Ghost Gaming's doesn't work, but it does feel a little better. Let me make some tweaks. Or, oh no, it feels worse than the stock one. I need to go another way. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to give you some information to help you guys out so you don't pull your freaking hair out like I did. You can hit test. You can see how the bike looks, you know, with your sag and all that stuff. You can do a dry sag or static sag, and then your race sag, you know, as with the rider on the bike. I'm using the OEM bike kit, so I'm on Monster Energy, whatever, Rockstar or whatever the hell it is, 250, not Rockstar, Star Racing. And that's really it. So I ride first person, so now, so the green or the red guy down there next to the number 2, that's telling you that your rider is standing. You know, now it's off, so that tells us that the rider is sitting. But like I said, there's going to be certain corners and certain things that you're necessarily not going to sit the rider down on. But that's pretty much what I got for you guys. You know, I think that it's a really good starting point for beginners that have never played this game, or, you know, especially coming from a console, playing, you know, Monster Energy games from console or Xbox or MX versus ATV or, you know, something like that. And now you're trying to jump into a simulator game and you're, you know, wanting to quit after 30 minutes. I've been there. So hopefully this stuff helps you guys out. I know it's things that I wish somebody would have helped us out with a week ago when we first got this video, just to have some basic controller setup settings, basic bike settings, you know, things like that. And again, they're just starting points for you guys. What has worked good for me and Schroeder Boat, hopefully it will work good for you. And yeah, drop a comment. Let me know if if it's helped you guys out or anything, or if you have any questions, you know, I'll do my best to help you out and answer them. You know, again, I'm only a week into this game, and I went from wanting to not play this game to now I absolutely love this game because I can actually control the bike. Also, the most important thing, start learning on a 250. It is a much, much easier bike to ride. The 250 setup that I just showed you, you could put on a 450 and it will work. And the bike, the 450 is just an animal. It is like SpaceX lit a rocket off the back of that bike. The setup will work. It'll help keep the front end on the ground. It's just at the skill gap that I'm at in this game, and riding a 450, it's a struggle bus. It's hard. So I highly recommend starting out on a 250. Get used to the 250. They are fast. You can clear a ton of jumps with them. They're not hard to ride. They're very easy to learn on, especially with the setup I just gave you. With that said, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think of this video. You know, hopefully it helps you guys out. If you have any questions, I'll try to help you guys out. Otherwise, if you did enjoy the content, please drop a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time.